Who is Michael Carl Hickmon?
I was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi. I was reared in a community that was called Riverton. The houses were so close together where my mother could raise the window and ask the neighbor for a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, and the neighbor could do the same thing. They wouldn't come outside and just reach it through the window.
There were many struggles before triumph.
The rats and the cats were afraid of the rats. So much has changed. So much has changed here in Clarksdale. And the whole choir stand fell in the ground. Now that don't even make sense. I was so embarrassed. I had to go there and help everybody out of the hole. I had to pull them up out of the hole. Didn't have the resources, but I had the faith for it. And now you don't have enough money to do it. I had to come up with a plan. I had to go and take out personal loans in order to make sure that the church would roll and that things would go the way it needed to go. Pandemic leader or a plandemic leader. During the pandemic, we were able to do some major renovations.
People would say, could any good thing come from Riverton?
I came to tell you that I got good news. Blessed assurance.
Coming soon to Facebook and YouTube.
Tell me a little bit about Michael Carl Hickmon.
Well, I was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi. My parents were Adele and Macy Hickmon. As a child, I was born as a preemie. And my mother would tell me that I was so small that she could actually cover me up with almost just her hands, almost cover me up. And I stayed in the hospital for a long time and finally came home and I was reared in a community that was called Riverton in Clarksdale. We stayed in several different houses there in Riverton. I remember one place that really stands out. We stayed in what was called Adams Alley. And my sister lived on the other end of the alley, she and her family. And we eventually moved to Adams Street, to Adams Street, 218 Adams Street. I still remember that address to this day. And that was a fun time because I grew up in that neighborhood and I had a lot of childhood friends. And back then, it seems as if we were community and we were family, and everyone seemingly looked out for one another. I can remember that the houses were so close together. It was a little shotgun house, but the houses were so close together where my mother could raise the window and ask the neighbor for a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, and the neighbor could do the same thing. They wouldn't come outside and just reach it through the window. The houses were just that close together. I remember my first basketball goal. It was at 218 Adams Street, And so I have great memories of my childhood growing up in the Riverton community. I went to school at Riverton Elementary. I went to Riverton Intermediate School. And then I went to Higgins Junior High School at that time. And then graduated from Clarksdale High School. And the Lord blessed me to graduate from Coahoma Junior College, and I graduated from Delta State University. And after that, we went back to school and became a registered licensed real estate appraiser. So I've worked in real estate and housing for many, many years. That's my specialty. I worked in that area for many, many years. My father-in-law gave me my first job in real estate when I graduated from Delta State University. So that's the area that I stayed in for many years, and even to this day, I've been able to become a real estate investor, and we own several properties here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Yes.
Do you remember your first job?
My first job I had while in high school, I was 15 years old, and I worked for what was called Magic Mart. That was before we had Walmart. It was Magic Mart. I worked for Magic Mart when I was 15 years old, and until this day, I have a child. A friend of mine who's yet my friend. He lives in Huntsville, Alabama. Milton Wilson. He and I worked there together. He was about a couple of years older than I, but we worked there together, and we had great memories of my first job.
Has Clarksdale changed from when you was a young boy to now?
Oh yes, it has changed tremendously. As I said earlier, that I can remember when we didn't lock our doors. We just left the doors open. But now I would not advise that. But a whole lot has changed. When I was coming up as a youngster, we had many jobs here in Clarksdale. At Cooper Tire, we had M. Hart. We had what was called the oil mill. Our hospital was booming. Things of that sort that gave people income, where they were able to build homes and to live a good life, so to speak. But now many of the jobs are gone and things of that sort. So it has taken an effect upon the economy here in Clarksdale. But as a little boy, I would walk across this bridge, and I would walk through this community. We're getting into what we call the Riverton community. This is where I grew up as a youngster. Getting ready to turn on the street here that's called Madison. This where some of your prominent homes were. And we would ride down Madison, and there used to be what was called Helen Milk Bar. It was an ice cream place. We would come down this street to get our milkshakes and ice cream cones, things of that sort. This street is Magnolia and Jefferson here in the Riverton community. As a little boy, I would come to this store right here. It was called Yick Joe Grocery. I would come to this store and I would get cold cuts and other things that my mother needed for the house. And as a little boy, I would run up and down these streets right here, playing in the community. And on the corner, right here, where houses, they have houses here now. This street here, this Poplar, this street right here, it's been changed now to Messenger. But this street used to be a store. Sits right here. Was called Henry's store. Henry's store. I would go to that store right there. And this corner right here was another store. I would come to this store right here. It was called Lulu's. Yeah. This is where I would come to get my candy and cookies and things of that sort. Now this street right here is Adams Street. This is Adams Street. This is the street that I grew up on. as a little boy. I grew up on this street, Adams Street. And I'm gonna kind of show you about where that's 216 Adams. 218 was right up in here. The houses don't even exist anymore. The houses you see now were actually moved here, but it was 218 Adams is where we stayed, right here, in this spot right here. And this is where I grew up. I grew up right there right here on Adams Street. So this is the Riverton community. This is the Riverton community. We're coming up on the school, Riverton Elementary and Riverton Intermediate. This is Riverton Intermediate. I went to that school. Matter of fact, I played on the basketball team. There. And we're coming up to Riverton Elementary. This is where I went to elementary school. Riverton Elementary School. Used to be houses all over here, but they have been since torn down. And then we moved from Adams, and we moved right here on Washington Street. The house has been torn down, but we live right here on the corner, right here on the corner of Washington Street. And right across the street is where the Federal Compress used to be. And this is the house we lived in that I told you that the cats were afraid of the rats. Because of the compress, big rats would run out of there and many times run in our house. Okay? Yes, it has changed so much over the years. So much has changed. So much has changed here in Clarksdale. I'm going to take you to Bradley Temple, the church that I grew up in as a youngster, from about 10 years old and up. There were actually 2 locations that I remember. The church used to be, I think it got started kind of, sort of, yes, in the rural, and moved to town by the late Elder T.O. Adams Sr. Back in the day, there were real nice homes on this street here. Real nice homes. We're coming up on Bradley Temple. This is where Bradley Temple used to be before they moved into their new location. Now it's called Lamb of God. But this is where Bradley Temple used to be. This is the church that I grew up in. I grew up in this church here. I preached my first message right here. I find no fault in Jesus. I preached it right here in this church, Bradley Temple, that was pastored by the Elder T.O. Adams Sr. T.O. Adams Sr. That's it, right here on 12th Street.
When did they, were you still affiliated or going to the church when they moved to the new area, or was it long before?
Yes. I'm going to take you now to the existing Bradley Temple. And when we moved off of 12th Street and moved to 4th Street, I was still there. I was still there.
Any funny childhood memories of Bradley Temple?
Oh yeah, we had a deacon by the name of Brother Seawood. Had a deacon by the name of Brother Seawood. Brother Seawood, he was the head usher. The head usher. And we were having street services out on the streets. One night, we was down a hill, and it was a juke joint right beside where we were having street services. And a man came down the hill with a knife to stab our pastor because he was preaching. Deacon Seawood grabbed the man in the back of his pants. And he didn't take the man up the hill, he threw the man up the hill. Threw the man up the hill. And said, nobody's gonna mess with the pastor. You have a whole lot of memories from Bradley Temple. Bradley Temple. Okay, when we moved from 12th Street, the first building I showed you of Bradley Temple, our pastor, we purchased this building right here. This is the current location of Bradley Temple. And this used to be a nursery where they grew different plants. There was not even a roof on this building when he bought it. When we bought this property, there was not even a roof on it. And this right here is the present day Bradley Temple. When I started pastoring in Charleston, I left this church here and went to Charleston to pastor. All right, this is the first building we had when I first came here. 40 years ago, we were in this little small building. It was not bricked. It was a white block building that measured 25 by 55. And we were having service here one Sunday. We had just taken in some new members. And we had formed a little choir. And we were having services in this little building here. And we had a lady leading a song. She used to be a quartet singer. And it was her and about maybe 5 other people in the choir stand. And while they were singing, and the power of the Lord fell, and people started praising God, and the whole choir stand fell in the ground. This building is actually on a hill. So I was so embarrassed. I had to go there and help everybody out of the hole. I had to pull them up out of the hole. And we went on with service on that Sunday. So I called a contractor, a guy that I knew. I said, man, I need you to come down here and fix my floor. I said, my floor, my choir stand fell in. And he came down and looked at it, and he said, Reverend, he said, it cannot be fixed. He said, this whole floor is rotted out. He said, all of the support under your floor is gone. He said, we're going to have to replace the whole floor. So what he did was he got a little bobcat, and he took these doors down, took the front doors down. And he hauled the whole floor. He hauled it outside, and it was hauled off. And we hauled in dirt and gravel, and we poured a foundation. We poured a concrete foundation, concrete floor is what we poured in this building. So this is our first building, the first building that we had when we came here. We remodeled this building, did work on this building. and eventually bricked this building is what we did. But we had some glorious times in this building. There we had one air conditioning unit in the window, and we had one space heater that sat on the side. And the missionary Fox, who lived down the street, she would come here an hour before every service. If it was in the summer, she would turn the air on. If it was in the winter, she would turn the heat on. So this is our humble beginning 40 years ago, and it was called then St. Mary Church of God in Christ. Matter of fact, we still have the sign up that says St. Mary, and I haven't taken it down all of these years because I wanted to keep in the minds of the people of where we came from. St. Mary Church of God in Christ. I left the sign right there. The sign is kind of leaning a little bit because one of the Mother Perry, this was her part. And she got a little too close one time and kind of pushed the sign in a little bit. And I said, that's all right. We're going to leave this sign up in her memory. This sign goes back and it really encapsulates where we came from, and it shows where we actually got started. Back then, YBWW at 6 o'clock p.m., prayer and Bible band, 7 o'clock, Thursday night services. All we was just in church. But this is where we started, right here at St. Mary. If you can see where the building stops. That's where the building stopped. Everything else was added on later, but that's where the building stopped. It was a 25 by 55. That's our humble beginning here. One car on the parking lot when we got here. Our car made 2 cars on the parking lot. And it stayed like that for a few months. But God started sending in people. People started getting saved and started joining our church because we went on the streets and had tent revivals and we just started evangelizing. And God began to save people, and people began to join the church.
How long was it before you had the church for the floor filling?
Probably had been there maybe 6 months. Maybe 6 months. And the floor just caved in while they were praising God. It just fell in.
So for you to think of the idea or the vision to build the second church, was it a faith vision, or were you?
Yes, it was. It was a faith vision. I did not have the resources for it, but I had the faith for it. I didn't have the resources, but I had the faith for it. I had faith in God, that God was going to bless us to do what it is that He had given us to do. It was a young man by the name of Joe Willis Sargent. He still lives here to this day. He was very instrumental in helping us to build this second building. Actually, the first building that we built during my pastorate is this building here. And he could do so many different things. Many Saturdays, it would be Deacon Sargent and myself. We dug the footing. We dug the footing out. And the ice cream truck, the snow cone truck would come through here on Saturdays. And I'll never forget it. He said, Reverend, he said, you all were in that same spot last Saturday when I came through here. And I'm down there just digging, man, just digging. He said, you all were in that same spot. I told him, I said, oh, that's what you think. I said, we are moving, man. We are moving. But Deacon Sargent and I, we dug the whole footing out ourselves on this building here. And this building, it was a step of faith. We still did not have a whole lot of members, but we had faith. We had faith in God, that God was going to bless us to do what it was that He had placed in our hearts to do. And so it was a gentleman in Jonestown, Mississippi. He told me about a farmer who had some barns that he wanted torn down on his property. And I would get off work in the evening time. I would get in my truck Another young man by the name of Charles Jones, who lives in Clarksdale to this day. He and I would get off work and we would drive to Jonestown, tear down these barns, had good lumber in it, tear down these barns. And the floor that's in this building now, the majority of that floor came from those old barns that we tore down because we really did not have the money to do everything we needed to do. So we would tear those barns down, clean the lumber up, and then we would bring it back to the church. And we would use it to build this church. So this church here was built out of cypress lumber. Cypress lumber. That's why that floor is still standing today, because it was built from cypress lumber. And then all of our walls and all of that was new. All of that was new lumber and all of that. But that floor is majority cypress material that's in that floor.
Can you show us the setup? Do you remember the setup and how the church was set up?
Yes, I remember how it was. I remember how it was set up. Pretty much what you see here now. We're in the process now of doing some painting on the inside here. This was our lobby area, the men bathroom, the women bathroom, and I'm going to show you the church, how the church was laid out. We use this now for classrooms, a setting, and also for a second dining area. It's what we use it for right now. We're doing some renovations in here right now. But we had pews on each side of this building. And right here where you see this wall right here, this was the pulpit area. This was the pulpit area, and everything behind this was the choir stand and the baptismal pool. So that was our setup. And also, when we built this building, we also built classrooms. We built classrooms on the other side. So we had classrooms and offices on this wing when we built this particular church. Now, and since then, in memory of two of the faithful members who were here when I got here, Missionary Lily Fox and Mother Alice Perry, we named this building the Fox and Perry Hall. The Fox and Perry Hall. They were very faithful, very supportive to this church when I first came here, and thank God that they even lived to see this church built and paid for, and they also lived to see the new building that we were able to build. They also lived to see that. But they're very faithful pillars in this church, And to this day, we thank God for them and for their labor.
Do you remember any fun or funny memories in this building?
Yeah. I remember one Sunday, it was one guy. He got up and just started running. My wife, she's laughing too. He just got up and just started running all around the building. Then he would run on the outside, and people would have to go out there and try to catch him and try to bring him back into the church. So I told him, I said, listen, young man, I said, if you got to run, you stay on the inside. I said, don't run outside anymore. And so he got up and tried it. He was going to try it again. And when he got to the door was locked. He couldn't get out. So I have a lot of fond memories in this church. This is where my children started singing in the choir. They started playing instruments. Believe it or not, Tiffany, my middle daughter, she used to be my organist. She used to bag me up. on the organ. And Carla would sing in the choir. Marion would sing in the choir and direct the choir and things of that sort. So I have a lot of fond memories of this building. But this was our first church that we actually built. The first church that we built. First church we built.
Do you have any funny memories or fun memories?
I just remember having some real good church here. And, back then we had Sunday night service. So we would stay down here all day on Sundays. When we came Sunday morning for Sunday school, we were prepared to stay all day for service that Sunday and stay all day and wait for service that afternoon. YPWW at 6 o'clock and then service every Sunday. So what we used to do is not many places here to eat in Charleston, still not many places to eat in Charleston, but we used to go to Bumpers, and sometimes we used to go to a restaurant it was at a forest, a park or something.
It was actually a state park, Casa Park.
Yeah, they had a pretty good
It
restaurant.
was called Yocney Ridge.
Yeah. So after we got back, we still had plenty of time before night service, and our children would be in here just having church, playing church, having church until it was time to have church again. And I tell you, during those times too, I gotta tell you, I was pregnant and I had to just lay on those pews and try to get a little rest before night service. And I mean, it was tough. It was tough, but God brought us through.
Do you remember when God gave you the vision of the current church?
Yes, I do. We had actually outgrown this building. Mm-hmm. We had outgrown this building. I have pictures that can show that we had outgrown this building, and I knew it was time to move and to to do something larger. I knew it was time to do something larger, and when the Lord gave it to us, we were debt free. Everything was paid for. Everything was paid off. The renovations we had done. And even in building this church right here, many times I had to go and take out personal loans in order to make sure that the church would roll and that things would go the way it needed to go. But God blessed us in all of that, and we were able to pay this building off. And back then, I can remember how much the loan was back then. The loan back then was like $92,000. That was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of money back then, $92,000. God blessed us to pay this building off before time. Blessed us to pay it off before time. And the Lord gave us the vision to build a new building. Gave us the vision to build a new building after we knew, we knew that we had outgrown this building. We had outgrown it.